everyone. It's Amy Broderick, your host with the Humanitarian Hub, and we're here to inspire, educate, and gather folks who are here to serve the greater good. And I'm excited today to have the opportunity to speak to Lindsay Germain. Lindsay, say hi.
Hi, good to be here, Amy. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. And so we're going to talk about the organization that she founded here in the Kansas City metro area. And before we jump into that, the organization is called 100 Women Who Care Kansas City. And but I'd love to hear a little bit from Lindsay first, just about yourself, your background, a little bit about you personally.
All right, yeah, thank you so much for having me, Amy. Lindsay St. Germain, and like you said, I founded 100 Plus Women Who Care Kansas City. I've been in Kansas City now for about 18 years, originally from Michigan, moved here for a job. So very involved in the Kansas City community, kind of fell in love with with the city, the town, and happy to be able to give back.
Nice. So how did you stumble upon this organization? Because it was founded actually nationally at the time, right?
Yeah, it was actually founded in Jackson, Michigan. So it kind of has that Michigan tie. How I stumbled upon it was I was, went to school, went to college in Michigan, so had friends there. And when I moved to Kansas City for work, I, still kept in touch with a lot of my college friends. And one of my friends told me about it. They were, she said, I'm a member of this organization. It's some women. We get together. We give to a give to local charities. And it's a great way to meet people. And at the time, it really resonated with me because I was traveling a lot for work. And I've always kind of had a heart for giving. I wanted to find a way to be able to give back to the Kansas City community, this community that I kind of fell in love with so much. But I was traveling so much that it was really hard. I couldn't commit to having a volunteer opportunity that required me to be present and be in person a lot. But I was, in the corporate world where I felt like I had a little bit of money that I was able to give back. And what I loved about this giving circle, so 100 Plus Women Who Care, is really a giving circle. So it was an easy way to be able to get together, meet other like-minded women in the community, and give back in the way that I could at the time, which for me was monetarily, not, through giving my time with volunteering.
Nice. So for the audience that's watching, they could be watching from anywhere around the world. Even though we're talking about Kansas City here, and it did start initially in Jackson, Michigan. Tell us a little bit about the scope of it on a national and international level.
Yeah, so it just started with one woman's vision. Somebody came to her in Jackson, Michigan, and they couldn't afford a crib for a local facility for babies. And she said, how can we not, in this community, how could we not afford to provide a crib for a local homeless shelter? So she pooled some friends and thought, I know I can afford this. But I bet a lot of my friends could too. And if we all got together, I bet we could buy them more than one crib. And so that's really what sparked the idea. And that is what, it started with that. It influenced me. And you're right. Now there is what is called the 100 Who Care Alliance. And really that alliance has created a movement, if you will. So there is now, it started, and for several years, it was probably just other people, word of mouth, just much like I found out about it through having friends in Michigan, hearing, and they said, I think I can do this in my community. And it really was, for the first probably 5 or 10 years, focused on women kind of creating these chapters. And then as women in our community started talking about this and telling others, hey, I'm a part of this giving circle, others decided, well, why does this have to just be women? So that you're right, that there's now there's 100 who care organizations for children, for kids, for men, for different church groups. There's all kinds of groups that really are all, I'm sorry?
100 businesses. I saw there was something there too.
Yep, exactly. 100 businesses. It's just kind of about creating a like-minded group of folks who all want to give back, And the Alliance really just serves as sort of an umbrella to help people get started and kind of provide some general guidelines. But the other beauty of these organizations is you can kind of customize them and make them to what your members and your community is best for you. So some of the alliances, they don't always, our particular giving circle and groups, we give $100 every quarter to a local charity. So each member commits to giving $100. But some of the kids groups, for instance, can be as few as $10 every meeting. But it's a way to get the group, involved and give what they can, whatever that is.
I love the idea that children are are working at this too. It's like it plants that seed early on for them to be
Exactly.
heart-based and yeah, service oriented. So that's fantastic. And so I've actually been to the group and participated and loved the concept of what's been done and seen some of my friends actually be recipients. So that's really been cool, but it's very impactful what can happen in such a short amount of time. And I think that's one of the gifts of this type of giving circle is it's not a lot of money, it's not a lot of time, it's once a quarter versus all the time. A lot of things want a lot of more time commitment from you, and so on average right now, I mean, I know you founded this chapter in 2013, is that right?
Yeah, correct. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so so you've been at this for some time now. Tell me a little bit about how it began, how you started, kind of from the mindset, if there's someone on here today who wants to start one of these circles, maybe what that was like to kind of get it going, and then where it's grown from there.
Yeah, sure. Yep. So we are in our 12th year. We did start in 2013. We were Kansas City's first 100 plus women organization. So very proud of that. And like I said, it kind of just started through talking and hearing about another organization in Michigan. And as the seed kind of was planted in my head, I just thought about it and thought, I looked, is there another organization like this in the Kansas City community? And I couldn't find one. That's the joy and beauty of the 100 Who Care Alliance, is if you are listening to this and you think this sounds like a cool idea, maybe a group I'd like to be a part of, that alliance actually has a directory of all the current organizations who are affiliated with it throughout the country and the world. So you can see, I think that would be my first step. And what I did as a first step is there something like this that already exists? Now, and when I found out that there wasn't in Kansas City at the time, I just thought, I talked to a few friends, talked to, kind of my circle, if you will, about, is this a crazy idea? Would any of you be interested in this? Is this something that if I were to try to create one of these and start one of these in the Kansas City area, would you be interested? And, through talking to colleagues, my circle, my community, and kind of gauging that initial interest, I found that there was some. And so how I started it is I really just, I reached out again to my friend who had initially told me about the concept, and she put me in contact of the founder of the chapter that she was a part of in Michigan. And so I just reached out, kind of cold called this person and said, I'm interested in starting this. I don't know where to begin. What did you do? And that woman was gracious enough to really walk me through, the first thing that I did is kind of come up with my bylaws and how I wanted the meetings to run. Then I started finding locations. And then she walked me through and offered me to shadow one of their meetings so I could see it in progress. And she talked me through how she went about trying to spread the word, through social media and through different press releases and things like that. And so she kind of was a one-on-one individual mentor for me. And again, I think the joy of all of this is as this movement has grown, the 100 Who Care Alliance has really provided a lot of that. So their website, their overarching oversight and help has a lot of material that when I started this 12 years ago, just wasn't there. I just had to kind of try it on my own. But now there is material out there that, kind of a how to get started guide and, example marketing material, example things where I just kind of went out there and tried it. And I thought, this either is going to work or it's not. And luckily for me, 12 years later here, it's worked.
That's great. And it's not like there's an investment to start this. You don't have to found a 501c3 corp or any of that. It's
Not at
very
all.
grassroots. And that's, I think, what's powerful about it too, because there's just not a lot of anything to stop you from actually just starting.
You're exactly right. And that is the beauty of this and that's why each chapter is a little bit different. Because there's some chapters you can decide the amount of money you give. You can decide how often you or frequently or infrequently you meet. You can decide, it is very, and the original founder of that first Jackson chapter, Karen Duggan was her name. She just was very, her motto was kind of keep it simple. And so that's the philosophy that I've always tried to also live by with our Kansas City chapter is, we don't want to make it too complicated. I've never, I have looked into, should we become a 501c3? There's no need. None of the money is coming to me. Like none of the money is coming to 100 plus women who care. All that we're doing essentially is planning some meetings and getting some people to be in the same place. But the money goes directly to the charity that is selected and chosen for that quarter. We're just helping be the conduit for all that. So I think that is, like I said, one of the beautiful things about this group and this movement is each chapter can kind of do what's best for them and their members. And it doesn't have to be overly complicated at all. It's an hour a quarter, $100. And through that collective impact, we can give $10,000 or more to a local charity. And the other, beautiful thing about it is we do, one of the rules that we have is we do require that anyone that's were to receive our funds does have to be a local to the Kansas City area 501c3. So I think that's so amazing that, there's just, as obviously with this broadcast here, there's so many amazing charities out there, but it's just a cool way to learn about local ones and make sure that the money stays local.
Yes. And what a powerful hour,
Exactly. Exactly.
And, I know, why don't you just talk a little about the setup of the evening and
Sure.
what normally transpires when you meet once a quarter?
Sure. Yeah. So what we've always done, one of the tenets that I wanted to do is I also wanted to make this a little bit of networking as well, because I thought, if we're all coming together, wanting to give back and wanting to be philanthropic, we're already have something in common, right? So I thought it would be a good opportunity to also network. So for our setup, we have an optional kind of social time from 5:30 to 6 before every meeting. And people can come. We encourage people to come early. We usually provide, light appetizers or drinks just to, get people to mingle a little bit. It's been a great way. I know we've had several of our members, make connections through that time. And then I'm very stringent about our meeting time. So our meetings are from 6 to 7. And I know, and one of the selling points I believe of our organization in this chapter is the fact that I guarantee you will be in and out in an hour, because I know we're all busy women. We all have 1,000 things on our plate. And if I tell you these meetings are going to be an hour and I tell you what they are a whole year in advance, I'm hopeful that we can all work around that. And, as many people as possible can be present for that hour. So we start and end on time. And really in the meetings, we always start. One of the cool things that we do is we start with hearing from the last quarter's recipient. So again, kind of the pull at the heartstring moment, but where it really hits home is the previous charity that won comes in and tells us exactly how that money was used. So that's been some of the coolest stories, and the coolest part of doing all this is, we've had charities come in, we gave to the Heartland Honor Flight, and they came in and told us exactly how many veterans we were able to fly to Washington, D.C., World War II veterans to see Washington, D.C. And they told us who they were, and we were able to actually go to the airport and greet them when they came back. We were able to provide over 70 winter coats for a charity, and they gave us handwritten notes of each recipient, that the children wrote to us of, how much they appreciated our coats. So that's a unique and interesting thing. When you give to a national charity or give to some charities, we always know our money is going to a great cause. But there's just something about hearing the local people come in and say, you were able to provide 70 kids in the Kansas City, Kansas school district with a coat who didn't have one otherwise, where you just really feel like this is pretty amazing. So we always start our meetings with that. So hearing how the previous quarter's donations were utilized. And then any of our members who come to that meeting, when they actually kind of check in with us during that half hour prior, they have the opportunity to put a charity in the bucket, if you will. So if they're present and they are a participating member, they have the option to put a charity in to be selected. Not everybody wants to do that. And frankly, at a lot of our meetings, probably half or less of our women in attendance actually put a charity in. But the opportunity is always there. And so then after we hear from the charity that won, and we've ensured everybody who wants to have a potential charity chosen has put one in, I actually pull the charity out of the hat. So it is a physical piece of paper on a little bucket, pull it out in front of the members, and the charity that is chosen gets 5 minutes to speak about why they think our chapter should donate to their particular charity that given quarter. And again, we're real stringent about that time just to make sure that we're in and out and we are cognizant of our members' other commitments. And so we select 3 charities. We hear from all 3. And then our members just do a blind vote. And they do it by a little ticket that they get when they come in. But it's a blind vote to see where they think our donations could make the most impact for that quarter. We count the votes right then and there. And we come back within that hour and announce the chosen charity for that quarter. And so if anyone is still paying by check, they will write the check then and there right out to that charity for $100. We have moved to an online giving platform, which we highly recommend. It's just easier for everyone, called Grapevine. And if that happens, the Grapevine once a quarter, just you donate to Grapevine and they send the charity the check, the collective check all together. So that's really how the meetings work. It's really simple. We have a little bit of time at the end too while we're counting the votes, where people can again kind of socialize, get to know one another, say hello, and then we're out of there by 7. So like you said, it's a really impactful hour. If you want, you can have a little socialization. If you don't, you just come in, and the great part of it is you get to hear how the donations were used. And regardless of where the chosen charity or the chosen donations go for the given quarter, you get to hear from 3 really, deserving different organizations throughout the metro.
Yeah, it's an education for sure, because you learn about things you didn't even know. Some of them are just starting up, and so they're really in a lot of need. I mean, so many people have great needs, but it's interesting just to see what's happening locally on that level, because they aren't the big charities that often you hear a lot more about. So it's fun to be up close and personal with those individuals. And I think this still applies, that if you don't attend, that you can still get your donation in through the online option. So you're still involved, even if you had to miss for some reason. So
yeah, exactly.
That keeps the ball rolling and the money flowing. So yeah. So I know there's so many stories of really cool people that you've helped. I can remember one that it might have been you that actually promoted this that night, was the cerebral palsy children that we gifted little custom made bicycles to. I think was that yours?
Yes, spina bifida. They were yes, they were bikes for children with spina bifida. That was me. Yes, yeah, good memory.
Yeah. And, So yeah, share some other ones that stand out over the years that really coming back and hearing from them later really was impactful.
Yeah, well, I think, kind of along that topic, like you were mentioning, I think the really interesting thing about our chapter specifically is how small and grassroots a lot of these charities are that we've given to. To your point, we have given to a few larger, more well-known charities, if you will, but a lot of the ones that we did are like Spina Bifida Kansas City, where people may not have heard of them before. And so that's really been one of the greatest joys of a lot of this is, we've given these 10,000, 10, $15,000 grants, and it'll be more than half of their annual budget for some of these charities. It'll be some of these charities, it's been the biggest donation they've ever seen. And so it's just really cool to be a part of that. And, so some of the charities that we have given to, Sleepyhead Beds, it's been really cool to see, we've been able to give X number of beds through our donations. We've had several members who've been impacted by like childhood cancer, had children that they were, maybe unfortunately, impacted by cancer. A lot of charities that they've started that have kind of been grassroots that have received our funds. Yeah, Giving Hope and Help has been a recipient of ours, which is a very, they're a organization that's close to my heart. I've actually become a board member for them, and I learned about them because we have donated to them. And I think that's another really cool thing about this Giving Circle movement is, there's numerous stories of people getting connected because they heard about the charity, whether they received our funds or not, through one of our meetings, but that resonated with a member and they felt connected and called to it. And they reached out and learned more. And I know we've had some of our members who have been, who've heard about a charity and become members of different boards. Sleepyhead Beds is one of them. Casey Kansas Angels is one of them. Like myself with Giving Hope and Help. It's just, we learn about these organizations where there is just so many great ones. How do you learn about them all? But you learn about these, find that connection. And then, not only do they potentially receive the money that night, but they make these lasting connections, find board members, find people that go to other fundraising events for them. And if nothing else, they just spread the word.
Yeah, I know. Jessica's great too. And I love her charity actually supports a lot of other charities because she's doing, period products that individuals, I'm out on the streets talking to, the homeless outreach, and I'm like, do you know about Jessica? She'll hook you up,
Yeah. Yeah,
And
exactly.
so, I mean, that's the networking part. And, but yeah, her reach is really in so many different areas. So I was really happy to see her receive. And, and I think Amethyst House, I remember that one.
Yep,
Really
Amethyst Place, Canby's Markets. I mean, we've had a lot of really great charities, and you're much like Jessica's impact from Giving Hope and Help, we've had that from 100 Women, where other charities will hear of a charity that is representing themselves, and they'll say, oh, yeah, I can provide your charity period products, or I can help you with your next fundraising event by connecting you to this person. And that's another one of those really cool just connection moments where you're like, this is not just about giving money. We're kind of creating a community of people who want to help each other out, which is fun to be a part of.
Well, that probably touches into one of the other things I was going to ask you, which is what has surprised you over the course of doing this?
Yeah, great. I mean, I think there's a couple things. One of the things that surprised me, I think, I'll do kind of I don't want to say negative, but just and then some of the positive ones. But one of the things that surprised me is when I started this chapter, I made it really intentionally just called it 100 Plus Women Who Care Kansas City. And I didn't say Kansas City, Kansas, or Leawood, or Kansas City downtown, or Northland, because I wanted it to be an environment where people felt like no matter where they lived in the city, they could come. And I thought it would be so easy. We would have hundreds of people at our first meeting. And I think I underestimated how it's been good. And we do have a lot of people from all over the metro who are loyal members of ours. But it's been a little bit hard because we are, the Kansas City Metro is a little spread out. And it's kind of hard to find that sweet spot of what's the best place to meet for people. And the Northland people sometimes think if we go down south, it's too far, and the south, vice versa. So I think just the pace of our growth has surprised me a little bit. I thought it would be a little easier. And there just is so many competing charities out there and competing things that we are right around 100 to 120 members. And I'm very happy. We have a lot of very loyal members who have been with us from the beginning. But I think that was a surprise to me. And then I think the other surprise is probably just how many amazing charities there are out there. Like I said, like we talked a little bit about, is just the smallest of the small, but just there's so many opportunities to give back and doing phenomenal work. And I think it's just the passion. Everybody that talks about their charity, the passion that they have for their organization and their cause. And it really, resonates to our members. Like we have, I'm very good friends with a lot of our members, and I know members who have met each other through the group and who are friends. And so it's just like, it's very fun to be a part of such a passionate organization. And at the end of the day, even if your charity isn't chosen, everyone's so excited for the charity that does receive the funds, because it's like, this is amazing. In 1 hour, you get to receive this money. And, there's never once been a charity that's got up and spoke where I thought, and I hope the members don't choose them. They're all amazing. And it's always a really hard decision.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, and I think it also speaks to the power of an individual, right? Because there's this collaborative effect, which I'm so passionate about, collaborating and all of that. And it's like one person's $100 turns into, $10,000, and that's huge for the difference that it will then make in the life of not only that particular charity, but also all of us, because we get to witness it.
Exactly.
We're holding space for this amazing shift to happen. And yeah, it is fun to come back and see the results. And you don't get that full circle moment in a lot of other things that you do unless you're rolling up your sleeves and you're in the trenches with that charity. You miss some of that, especially if you're writing a check. So yeah, it's pretty brilliant all the way around, how that goes. So anything more you want to just share about how maybe this has changed you personally from setting this up and all these years of doing this?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me personally, it's just helped me grow as a person. When I one of the things I don't think I thought of when I started this, I thought I would do this is that I was going to be the face of this. I didn't think about it. And I've become, obviously, I am the face of 100 Plus Women Who Care Kansas City. I lead the meetings. Previously, I was not nearly as confident speaking in front of groups. And I think it just helped me grow as a person. And I think it's made me so much more connected to the community. I've met so many people. I personally feel so much more passionate about the Kansas City community. Every time I learn about the great work that somebody else is doing or another charity that is out there, you just realize like, wow, there is so many people who care and who care about giving back and who want to help others and who want to do good, that it just makes you feel really proud for even a very small way that I do it, but that I'm part of giving back, and that I'm part of educating others on some of these charities and on all of this great work. And then I think it's just really cool when I sit back and step back. Like I said, we're in our 12th year. I started this at our very first meeting. We gathered $3,200. You know, there was 32 people there that were just friends, colleagues, begged somebody off the street to come to this meeting. And, you know, now we give anywhere from on average $14,000 to $16,000 a meeting. And we've given over $405,000 to the community since we've started this. And I think when I sit back and think about things like that, and I know, you know, many of the members who've been with me from the beginning, you just really think, you know, it goes back to that point of this started with the idea of I have $100 that I can give. And over 12 years, you know, all of these $100 turned into $405,000, and we're counting. We're still, you know, we're aiming. I tell at every meeting, I'm like, we're almost to $500,000, guys. You know, before this happens, we are going to get there, and we're going to pop some champagne at that meeting. And I mean, it's just really cool to think about. This started as a wild hair idea because I didn't know how else I could give back, and you know, we're into the six figures of giving. So
That's cool. I was going to ask if you knew your number, so
I did. Yeah,
I'm
I
glad
do.
you did your math because it's
Yeah, exactly.
it is. I mean, whoa, from $100 to over 400,000 is just mind blowing to know how that even happens. So it's very cool. Well, I know that our audience, like I said, they're from all over. So there's some, if you are in the metro area, you absolutely want to come check out the 100 Women Who Care Kansas City location. Now the location, does it move around still?
It does move around, yes. So we try to be as communicative as we can. We tell people all of our dates a year in advance, and then we get our locations out as early as we can. Since we are not a 501c3, we do just kind of rely on people donating space for us. So yeah, we kind of rotate around the city, try to be as kind of central as we can, but really just relying on people who will donate space to us. But we communicate out the locations and try to make it as easy as possible. And we would love, 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 love to have some people come check us out. And people can always feel free to check us out. No commitment. If you just want to see what we're about, we don't expect you to pay that first meeting. If you don't feel comfortable, we're happy to just have you come learn and network. So.
That's cool. And if you are in an area where there isn't a chapter right now and you feel called to start one, then hopefully you got some starting steps from what we just described. Is there any final thoughts you have on that, Lindsay, that you would want someone new to know or just jump in?
Yeah, I mean, I think I would just say if you have any inclination to start one of these, just give it a shot. I mean, the worst thing that happens is, you know, you give it a try and it doesn't pan out. But the best thing that happens is it'll turn into 400 plus $1,000. I mean, don't be scared to try it. There is a lot more resources out there for you now than ever before. And I think giving circles in general, you know, 12 years ago, they were still kind of a new concept, but as more and more people are looking for different ways to give back, giving circles are just more popular than ever. So I think now is the time to kind of grab that lightning in a bottle and don't get scared away. Give it a shot. It's not as hard as you think. And if anyone is interested and wants to reach out to me personally too, I'm happy to help guide in any way and be of a resource if I can be.
That's fantastic. Well, I'm going to provide in the show notes below Lindsay's information for her chapter, the Alliance website, and any other notes that we can put together for you that will help. But yeah, a lot of it is on that Alliance site now, which will be a great springboard for you. And then from there, would love to see you at the next, when is the next meeting?
It's actually coming up real quickly. So it is actually May 9th.
May 9th.
May 9th. Yep. August 8th and November 7th are our remaining meetings for the year. So would love to have people.
Yeah, well, thank you so much today for taking the time, Lindsay, to come on and share with everyone. I'm just so honored to have you as a guest and also to have been participated in your organization. I do think it's an amazing group of dynamic women doing fantastic things. So thank you again for being with us.
Thank you. Thanks so much for your support as well. Appreciate it.
You're very welcome.